Guys, welcome back to the Chaotic Kids channel, where I, Michelle, document my life here on YouTube as I try to become a full-time author, while also traversing the world with multiple personalities. If that sounds interesting to you, stick around. But today we are going to be having a conversation that's also going to be leading into my 5-year goals, and also it's going to be very religious, and fair warning, I'm Catholic. This is going to be a whole pretty much Catholic related video, so if you're not Catholic, you have no interest in listening to this, you can go ahead and leave. But yeah, we're going to be talking about this kind of big life decision that I'm thinking about possibly pursuing. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting video. Yeah, so I say let's just jump into it. Okay, guys, we're just going to jump straight into it. What is my big life goal that I'm wanting to accomplish? Or at least possibly achieve? And that is possibly becoming a sister or a nun in a convent, where I'm going to be the bridegroom for Jesus Christ. A bridegroom of Jesus Christ, you know? And you're probably, well, I don't know if you watched my, really long vlog where I was talking about this whole thought I had. Well, not thought, but, I had this whole kind of idea about this. But, it has been playing around, this thought, this concept, keeps tugging at my heart and kind of just bouncing around in my head, because, if you guys don't know, I'm somebody who has multiple personalities. That's just what I call it. It could be DID, it could be OSDD, I'm not sure, never been diagnosed officially. But I'm this idea started with me one day. I feel like it started with me joking around with a friend being like, oh, we could always become a nun or something. I don't even remember how we did it, but somehow we kind of I feel like we were half joking. There was probably, even when you're half joking, there is still a sense of reality to it, or at least for me. And so we brought up the fact, we could be a nun, and our friend was like, I've had visions of you being a nun, and I'm just like, whew, that's a big thing to think about, becoming a nun, and I'm just like, I don't know, ever since she said that, kind of has been tossing around my head, because she's very spiritual. Ever since I met her back at a local Catholic shop called Soul Provider, those ladies that I met there were so influential in my mind. I don't know why my hands are cold. This is why my shoulders are like this. But these ladies at Soul Provider were so special to me. They were around me at a time that it was very dark. I had just lost this house, meaning I bought the house 9 months before having to leave it, because I was unable to afford the bills because I was in between jobs all the time. Ended up just being thrown on, having to be on the battle of getting on disability and stuff. And so my family was like, my brother was like, how about you move in with me and we'll get things straightened out, And so during that time, right whenever I was deciding, okay, I'm going to go live with my brother, the Soul Provider building had just opened or was getting close to opening. And now I knew Soul Provider as a different, it looked a lot different back whenever a different person owned it. But that person knew my mom, and everyone knew my mom, and my mom was like, I don't even remember what she said, but somehow this, she was like, this place is very special. And I remember, not necessarily fondly, but I just remember memories of going in there, for religious things, and it did have this calming presence, but as soon as I met these ladies, because I was the owner of it, I met, and I'm like, hey, I'm a writer, could I come in to write my stories here? That's what it started out with, because otherwise I was going to be stuck at my brother's house for years on end, just being home. And she was like, yeah, I would love that, because they had a little place called Grace in Your Corner there, due to one of her sons having struggled with mental health, and this was just a place for people who are also struggling with their mental health to then have someone to talk to. And these ladies were so, so awesome. I love them all. And honestly, like, I was just like, I don't know what else to do other than just come to this place. And so a couple times turned into every day, and I met all the ladies. There was 4 ladies that pretty much worked there every day. Well, they had a schedule, but like they worked every day, like all the days. Not every one of them, but if they had their days, they worked their days. I started talking to them. I would spend sometimes 30 minutes to an hour with them, and it relieved me. And like, I said I was going to go write in there. I don't think I did hardly any writing there. I just sat there, listened to the ladies, talked about myself, and just not basked, but like just soaked up their vibes and stuff. And when the owner was closing it, they had a huge gathering. Well, not a huge gathering, but they had a gathering of all the people who worked there over the years. And I came to, because like I may not have worked there, but I was there always. Like, I was the mascot. I don't know. It's not the mascot, but like I was always there, and I was pretty much part of the family, And I remember sitting at this group with this ladies, like in the little corner called Grace in Your Corner. And I remember very vividly sitting kind of in, like we were in an oddly shaped oval, and I was sitting in one of the corner ovals. And I just remember seeing, like, I even leaned over to my friend and was like, is it just me, or is it, like, bright in here? And, like, this corner, I didn't realize, but, like, had always been kind of dark. But I was like, is it just me, or is this place, like, really bright right now? And my friend was like, I think you're crazy. Well, she didn't say that, but she was like, no, it looks normal to me. And I'm like, okay. But as everyone talked, the light just kept getting brighter. And I'm also thinking to myself, like, my eyes are poop. I'm sure I'm just seeing things. But as it went on, the light kept getting brighter, and then, as ladies started to leave, because we had been there for like 2 hours, I would watch as each lady stood up, and it was like a beam of light was over top them as they walked out of the store. And I'm like, okay, at this point, I know I am not making this up. Like, it happened once, okay, fluke. Happened twice, okay, I'm concerned. Happened 3 times, okay, there is something seriously wrong. So I'm like, not seriously wrong, but there is something, someone is telling me something. So, obviously it was God telling me stuff, but like, that moment is so vivid in my mind, and I'm like, okay. That kind of sparked me just getting back into my faith. Now, I also will say, there was a rough patch still that, like, I wasn't fully connected with it almost, just because, like, my mom had passed away, and I was going through struggles with my health again, well, my mental health, but I remember that moment so clearly. And then it goes into a couple months break, but I get back into this house, and I'm like, I want that feeling again. So I try to go to the store, doesn't have the same vibe anymore. So I'm like, I don't know what else to do. So I'm like, it's not like I don't know what I'm doing, but I was like, I'm going to start going to church. I'm listening to more Catholic Catholic run videos and stuff. But I remember the first time I went back to Mass, and it's been a while, I remember feeling this huge tug in my heart, being like, saying picture book, well, not picture books necessarily, but it was saying saint books, saint books, saint books, or something along that line. And like, I think I went to like, I think it was almost a Christmas mass or something, which, why I went to a Christmas mass, I don't know, but like, it was some kind of mass like that. And I just like kept feeling this tug of religious books or something like that. And I would have visions of like this, how I would always imagine like saint books of like Magic Treehouse meets saints, as kids who are learning about their faith meet different saints and the story tells their story kind of thing. And I'm like, I see that so vividly. And every time I go into church, and I've been into church consistently now for 5 weeks. Every time I go in there, there's a calling for me to write these picture books or to write these books, but I'm like, I don't know how to write a Magic Treehouse / Satan book kind of thing. And I'm also like, I'm already writing the Bugstopia books, and I'm like, I can't do another middle grade series, even though they're so different. I can't do it. But also around this time, that was the time that I was starting to write Grace's pen name. And like, it was so, like, Grace is such an important person in my life now. I could never imagine her, like, I could never imagine my life without my 3 pen names. Like, without Shelly, without Maris, without Grace, I couldn't be who I am. But those aren't the only ones that are super influential in my life. But we'll get to those in a little bit. I'm going to take a little break, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just talked about Grace, Shelly, and Maris and how they were so influential in my life. But kind of recently with my system, I learned that we actually have a chapel in our headspace. And now I never really get to see a full visual of what the headspace looks like. Me personally, I'm kind of, some people would call me the host. I'm just the person who I feel like narrates the story of our life. But there are other altars that come, like there's a ghost altar who like fuses with me and helps like me see what everyone else sees kind of thing. Does that make sense? I don't know. But like this altar helps me see what the headspace looks like, especially whenever we're journaling in our notebook, like not notebook, but journaling in our Google Docs that we then send to our therapist. And I'm starting to see like how impressive our head is. But like this chapel is kind of a newer building, almost not necessarily a newer building, but like it used to be in like the back of the mind, covered in cobwebs, where one of our altars would be able to experience, like see it, and he would kind of interact with the 2 altars that were in there, but he's always like, it's not time, it's not time, it's not time. But then there's a lot of different altars, but then this other one was like, I think it's time. So he brought the chapel out, and that is when the doors open and there was just this lightness. And that's whenever I met 2 of my altars. They are actually sisters / angels. That's how they represent. That's just how they are visually represented. Like, they are very clearly different sisters. Like, one is, I don't know how to exactly describe it, like more motherly, but also like more understanding of our situation and understanding how that still does, like, that doesn't break, like, it does, because just because we have mental health does not mean that we can't also see people's life and pray for them, or like just be a witness to God almost. The other one is a little more religious and more stuck up. But she is evolved, as I say, and she's become a newer form of herself. And like, I just, like, having those ladies in my head, like in my system, is so, so cool. And like, every time we pray the rosary, which we try to pray the rosary at least once a day, Sometimes we do 2, sometimes we do 3, sometimes we go to actual churches or cemeteries or the Adoration Hall in a neighboring town. Like, we go to these places and we truly feel our entire brain shift. Like, we can all be, like, in our rooms and, like, I don't personally know what, like, the main room, like, the main circle room or the head, like, the front of the room looks like. It kind of always, like, comes in and out of focus, and it always changes, depending on who's out and about. But whenever it is mass time, when it's prayer time, when we're at the cemetery, like, the normal stuff almost flips over, and there's pews there. And I really don't know how else to describe it other than, like, everything shifts and you just see this grand, ornate chapel. And, like, there is a separate room that is the chapel, where, like, people go to, if altars go to, if they're really struggling, they will just go into the go into the chapel and just sit there and process. Like, that is where we go to sit and process. And so it's just so, I don't want to say mind-boggling, but, like, it's so fascinating how our brain works. And now, we were born and raised Catholic. That was what we did. We served in almost every mass on Saturdays. We started to resent that for a while, and that is why the chapel ended up falling to the back of the head. But as we kept clawing at we always felt the desire to continue our faith. And every time we continued to break it, then the chapel would move closer, And so it just, I don't know how to put this, but, like, everything about the chapel, like, our mindset, our headspace, our whole, I don't want to say personality, but, like, our whole being feels like it's connected to the chapel. And it feels connected to the church. There is still problems because sometimes we do, like, suffer with anxiety and are not able to finish the mass all the way. And we do have our conversion disorder, and, sometimes we get overstimulated. Like, we had a rough day, and it's definitely not a good day to go to mass. Like, we have those experiences, and that's partially why some of us are, like, kind of not really wanting to do this, like, becoming a nun and stuff, but I feel like we're just meant to gain more in our faith. And, maybe the whole nuns, like, being a nun, maybe be an outreach, like, be super out of our wheelhouse, But it's a goal for us. And, like, we've been in this house, like, our current life, like, how we've lived our life since we graduated has been the same. Writing, maybe working, writing, but we're wanting to do more. And we're doing that now by going to churches trying to go every day, or at least going to the cemetery or going to the Adoration Hall and just sitting there and praying a rosary. And that is so peaceful for us. And, whenever our friend suggested, that she saw us becoming a nun, I was just like, it became a fixation for us, almost. Not necessarily a fixation, but, like, we kept getting called to it. We kept getting this tug to it. And now, like I said, this could all be just our possible things could happen. And at the same time, we also acknowledge this could be, like, a, what's the word? Not depression, but it's the opposite. Manic. We could be in a manic episode, Who knows? But this just keeps reoccurring. It's not something that, like, when we go to bed, we forget about in the morning. It's something that stays there. And, like, even when we're watching videos and stuff, it keeps coming back, and we're just like, what is this? Like, there is clearly something there. And this is going to sound kind of crazy, but, like, ever since we've been wearing this miraculous medal and working on Grace's projects, like, actually working on Grace's projects, it's just been opening. And, people could probably say, like, this is all just kind of woo-woo kind of things, but I don't think so. Like, God works in mysterious ways. I'm reading the Bible, and every day that I read it, like, some days I don't read it. And, I listen to the Bible in your podcast. But, like, some days I don't do anything with it. But I then read a book, and it'll be a religious book, and it has something that, like, triggers my mind to a thought that I read in the Bible previously. And it's just like, everything seems to fall into place, and it almost drives me crazy because I'm like, I can't do anything. Like, I don't know what to do kind of thing. Which is going to bring us up into our 5-year goal of becoming a nun and the reason I'm doing it. So I'll be right back again. Okay, so why am I waiting 5 years to pursue this dream or this life mission? I don't know, like, why am I waiting 5 years to do this? Well, honestly, I don't want to say selfish reasons, but it has to deal with my life here in this small town. Like, I, first of all, have this house. It wouldn't feel right to leave it half done, or not even half done, like a quarter done. So, like, I need to finish doing the windows, finish doing the siding, finish doing whatever work needs to be done in this house. Probably before I leave, I might redo the roofing. I might do a lot of things. I don't know what I'll need to do, but that's something I need to think about, because this house, like, if I were to leave it half done, it wouldn't feel right. Like, it wouldn't be authentic to who I am, because, like, I like to finish things before I move on. And, that's something important. Like, that's obviously something I feel like I have to do. Another reason is because of my dad and my grandma. They are super, super, super important to me. And I'm gonna cry. I don't want to let them die alone, kind of thing. Like, I personally know how rough it is being at home by yourself all the time. And I go and see them probably every other day, three to four times a week. Like, it honestly depends. And if I don't show up to their house, it feels weird. But I'm like, I help them get through the day. Or, like, I just give them that extra little bit of light, being like, hey, I'm here, let's talk, let's play some cards, let's just have, like, be something different for you. And I'm like, I also just want to be there for them. Because, like, for my mom, gonna cry. But, like, for my mom, I was close to her, but I don't feel like she knew the authentic me. And also, this has to deal with the fact that she did die pretty young. But, like, I still felt like I not necessarily resented her, but, like, I wasn't a good person when she was alive. Not necessarily that way, but, like, I was just so angry as a teen. I would not listen to her, and I'm like, I wanted to tell her sorry so badly. And, maybe my sorry is just sticking around for my dad and my grandma. I don't really know, but, like, I just want to be there for them. And, like, it also is a very key factor that, like, if my dad were to die, obviously we have to worry about his estate. We have to worry about all the stuff at his house and stuff. And it's like, if dad were to die, I'm not going to leave everything behind for my sister. I do have 2 brothers, but I'll be honest with you, they're probably not going to care. They're not going to be much help. And, my sister already has a lot on her plate, because she has 3 kids, and kids are a lot. She also works nights, so her days are messed up and crazy. But, like, I wouldn't feel right leaving her with all this responsibility. And she's already got a lot of responsibility when it comes to the estate. Like, she's in charge of the land, she's in charge of the cars. Like, she's pretty much the executive. And the rest of us just have to kind of, like, almost have the layback way, because we don't have to we're not obligated to do it. But that doesn't feel right. Like, I'm not that person. My sister, like, she is my sister. She gets, like, she's not as close to me as my older brother, but, like, we are still close. Like, I tell her things that I don't tell my brother, or she rants to me, I rant to her, kind of thing. So it wouldn't feel right leaving her. And, like, leaving her with all this work. And, yeah. So that's kind of why the 5 years is because I also, like, I need to finish this house. I need to not necessarily wait for my grandma and dad to die, but, like, be present with them. And honestly, like, I'm not sure if, like, in 5 years and they haven't passed away, will I go? Will I stay? I don't know, honestly. And, also why 5 years is because, like I said, this could be a manic episode, and I'm just going through a manic episode, and, it could go away in, like, 3 years, or it could go away tomorrow, like, who knows? But if it's still consistent in my head for that long, it's gotta be true. So I'm like, I don't know, I've gotta just wait. Yeah, and for that, I've got some goals, like, what I'm calling, like, my nun training kind of thing. Like, things I'm wanting to do to possibly be able to not withstand, but possibly, like, just testing to see if I could do this by myself, and if I can do this with other people around too. So I actually have a list here. I'm going to go through them, but I will be right back for that, okay? Okay, guys, so the reason I'm doing this thing is because, like I said, I have a very relaxed schedule that I live by, pretty much, and I sleep for over 12 hours, and I'm like, this will give me initiative to get up at certain times, do things at certain times, and be more faithful to my life, But I found this, like, nun schedule, like, day in my life of a nun kind of thing. Basically, at this one, convent, it was, like, from 4:30 to 9:30. And I can't even think of what times those are. But that's something I'm thinking about. I think that's 7 hours. I think 7 hours. That's 7 hours of sleep. That is plenty amount of sleep. I don't need to sleep 13 hours a day. But I'm like, okay, I'm not going to abruptly go from 4:30 to 9:30 in the morning. 4:30 in the morning to 9:30 at night. That seems like a real, like, disaster waiting to happen. And I even told my brother this, like, that just sounds like Michelle's going to fall down this deep rabbit hole of darkness and completely change your life again. Like, it just sounds bad. And I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to give it my full, honest try. And, I don't know, like, I also feel like I have, like, just keep in mind, this may or may not happen. Like, becoming a nun may or may not happen. But with this passion that I have right now, I feel like I've got to at least give it its fair shot. Like, if I just jump into it, I'll be miserable for the next 4 to 5 years kind of thing, But so, I'm gonna do steps to get to that point, So I have got this list of goals, like what I call my nun training to be exact. But so obviously, one of the main goals is to get up at 4:30. But I am going to work up to that. Right now, I'm getting up anywhere from, like, 7:30 to 8 o'clock to, like, even, like, anywhere from 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. That's kind of my wake-up time. And I'm like, I want a specific schedule right now. Like, for the first 2 months, I don't know. I want to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning on the dot while going to bed at 9:30. That is the game plan. And also with that, I would like to, like, with the 9:30 bedtime, I would like to stay busy until 8:30. 8:30 will then give me plenty of time to do my nighttime routine, just kind of veg out, do basic things. No, not basic things, but just do normal things that don't necessarily revolve around work or Christ work. I don't know, but just do things that just chill me out, you know? And then every month or every 2 months from that 7 o'clock, I'll push it back 30 minutes. So instead of being up at 7, it'll be 6:30. And then after 2 months, after 6:30, it'll be 6 kind of thing. All the way up until we get to 4:30. Who knows if this is going to work or not? And you know there'll probably be days where I just cannot. And I'll just have to accept that. But you know, doing that to try to at least see if I can do it. You know? Because, like, I feel like if I can't do the hours that people are up for, then what's the point, you know? But so I would like to start work. I typically start work at 8:30. And, okay, this kind of also ties into a different thing, but I want to go to more masses. Right now I'm doing one mass a week. It's on a weekend, like pretty much on Saturdays I go to bed kind of thing. Go to mass. But I'm like, I want to do this one weekend mass for a month. Then go up to my Saturday and then adding a weekday mass to it. Then adding 2 weekday masses. Then 3, then 4 to 5, and maybe even doing 7 masses a week. Because obviously with becoming a nun, you have to be in the presence of Jesus doing masses, receiving the Eucharist. That is I don't want to say purpose, but like, and I don't want to say that's your duty, but like, you know, that is part of becoming a nun, like being super religious. You have to commit to these. And you know, like, thinking about it right now, I'm like, I could never. But I'm also like, again, if this is something I'm wanting, like, I have to work for it. I have to embrace something that's new. So yeah. Also, like, so working up to getting to maybe 7 masses a week. I want to go to different churches and do these masses as well, just so I'm not, like, staying so structured at my one church that whenever I leave this church, I will have problems later down the line. You know, like, I've been so accustomed to my small town that, like, everybody knows me, but I'm like, if I got out of my comfort zone, went to other churches, met other people, like, will this keep inspiring me and stuff? And with that, like, going to other churches and meeting other people, I want to also start talking to other people that are dedicated to their faith. And, you know, some of them may be priests, some may be sisters. I don't know if we have any sisters around here, but, like, talking to people who are dedicated in their faith and, like, have their, like, family life and their religious life, like, they are so concrete in who they are and how they know who they are, like, know who they are and, like, how they discern that kind of thing. And, you know, like, I want to just do that. I want to experience that. I want to know how they felt this calling, because everyone's calling is different. And I'm like, I just want to understand, and maybe they can help me discern this too. But I'm like, I can't keep doing the same thing all the time. I don't want to, like, live my life until I'm, like, 70 on my brother's dime, you know, like, and, you know, maybe by then I'll be making money off my books, but, like, making money off my books and, like, living in this house doesn't fulfill me. This house kind of feels like a burden, but also, like, it's freedom, but also feels like a burden. It's just, I don't know how to put it. Like, I'm just meant for more. I'm meant for more than this small town. Not anything wrong with this small town, but like I said, I've lived here my entire life. Everybody knows me. I have kind of triggers with everything that I pass. There's some streets I'm not going to walk down because of somebody used to live on that road, you know? Or that family still lives there. I'm not going to walk down it kind of thing. So I'm like, I need to get out of this town. But 5 years, again, 5 years that moving out of this town might have to deal with the fact that by then maybe my dad's dead and I can move. Again, that sounds terrible to say, but I can't leave my dad. Because obviously, who knows when he's gonna go. And I don't want to be like somewhere that I can't get to him. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Actually, let's scratch that. I'm crying. But yeah, so I'm wanting to talk to other people about their discernment, how they knew what they wanted to do, because there's some people who like are very dedicated in their faith, some who are dedicated to their job, like everyone's path is different, and I just want to kind of dissect them, get to know, well, not dissect them, but like get to know them and their story, tell them my story, and just get out there into the world, because I'm tired of this life, of being alone all the time. Sorry, I'm gonna say this real quick, but like, I learned that my traumas are really because I've always felt alone. And I'm tired of feeling alone. I'm wanting something. And it sounds bad and like something, but like, I want to feel like I fit in somewhere. And maybe on this journey to becoming a nun, maybe I find my husband. I don't know. I'm just living this life. But, like, if I do find my husband, then I know, like, I have tears running down my face. Sorry. If I do find my husband, like, my lifetime partner, God will tell me. And if that's true, then I won't become a nun. But I'm still going to be faithful with my religion. Because I don't want to lose this again. I don't want to lose my altars that were gone for so long. I want them back in my life, and I want them to stay in my life. I'll be right back because I need to gather myself. Be back. Okay, sorry for the altar switch, but I don't like emotions. Okay, so basically, we're doing this really to gain on our faith, and as Michelle said multiple times to us, like, she doesn't want to lose who she is, and religion is such an important part to who she is. And it's an important part to all of us. Maybe not me and what everyone calls my little brother. But, like, religion is important to everybody. As they said, the chapel, like, our front room switches into the chapel, and it's all crazy, but our life is crazy. Who knows? But, like, we're needing this. We're needing more religion in our life. And, this could be coming from simple thoughts that we've been having. Who knows? But I will also say, like, since Grace has been writing books, like, her persistent Catholic talk, I'm not Catholic, so it's gonna be a little more brash with me. But all the Catholic talk around us, like, is invigorating us. And Grace has finished a picture book. And she wants these picture books printed by a Catholic publishing house. And, maybe that's another reason we're spur of the moment thinking, like, oh, I say spur of the moment. We have been thinking about this. It's just, to me, it feels like a spur of the moment. But then again, when it does come to, like, our prayer time, sorry, I'm playing with something. But, like, when it comes to our prayer time, I do kind of step away. Like, I've never personally walked into the chapel just to sit down and think, like, that's not who I am. That is not who, I'm just going to call myself Jay. That is not who Jay is. And so, this whole Catholic thing feels weird to me. But I see how important it is for everyone else in the system, how it invigorates everybody, and, like, I can't deny the fact that it helps us. And so, who knows? We were going to talk about something else. I don't remember. We have, like, notes over here, but I can't half read their handwriting, even though my handwriting's not any better. Um, but yeah, we're just wanting to get back into our faith, and becoming a nun in 5 years is our best way. And like the narrator said, that's who was talking before. Like the narrator said, like this could all be because we're having a manic episode. This could all change if we were to find our husband, but we're at least gonna give it a shot. And like, who knows what could happen? Because I will even admit, like, I've seen so much growth in everyone in our system. I I lovingly, like, everyone lovingly calls me, like, the sarcastic brother or uncle who cares, just doesn't show it kind of thing. Obviously, like, that's why I switched out, because I don't like showing emotions and stuff. Um, but it's just, how do I put this? Like, there's no doubt that this helps us, and it invigorates us. It makes us feel better. And maybe that means that I will lose my, I don't want to say sarcasticness or my like bluntness with religion and stuff, but if it helps us, it helps us. And I know that some of us in the system kind of want to work to like, some want to work to like being one altar, or like being one whole body, like one whole like one person, with final fusion and stuff. Others of us want to just live with multiplicity, but not have so dramatic changes between altars. Because, like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but, like, I personally feel like everyone in the back of the head's being like, we can feel the shift from whenever I come out to whenever, say, narrator's out. Like, when emotions come, that's typically narrator or a girl I'm going to call T. I shut the emotions down. And, who knows? Maybe if I get my emotions out, it'll be different. But, again, who knows? Yeah, I don't know what else to say. But yeah, our 5-year goal is to become a nun. And, but that also doesn't mean we're just going to solely like, this channel is going to go away. This means that we are going to pursue becoming a nun and becoming maybe a full-time author, but also just being an author. It's going to be author and nun life. Because the book that Grace has written is a young adult. I mean, we're working on different Christian books for Grace. And Grace wants to query it to this Catholic publishing house. Like, she wants it done by a Catholic publishing house. And while we were doing it, we feel like found our perfect place. I'm not going to say which one, but we found a place that we think is really good, publishing-wise, and I feel like they connect with us. Like, we just connect with that place. Never met the people that own it, but, like, we just feel like we connect with their social media. We're watching a lot of their videos right now, and it just feels like it connects with us. And, like, they're known as, like, the media nuns. And, like, obviously, if we do become a nun, we wouldn't want to lose this channel. We wouldn't want to lose what we've done with Shelley's books, like being a system, having multiple authors, and also being true to us as a system. Like, those are our core values, while also being religious. And, like, I don't know. It's just, we're going to talk to a priest in a couple days or something like that, to really dissect this down and see if it's really something we're going to do or not. But, like, not something we're going to do, but, like, see if he thinks that's the right path or something like that. But we just want to give you guys a heads up. Like, maybe you guys will see more religious contents from us. We also had on, like, a list of videos we wanted to record this month. Videos, like, have a spiritual talk. This is our spiritual talk for the month. Yeah. Sorry. I don't know what narrator wanted to say, but that's kind of all I gotta say. Our our final outro. What's that? Oh, so basically, at the end of the day, we're gonna keep trying to make our fantasy come true, and it's gonna be starting at one altar's dream at a time. But anyways, we'll see you guys later. Okay, bye.